Comment? Any comment from the committee? I have no chair's report tonight, although maybe this is a good spot for us to have a discussion about the potential town chair.
Yes, I did not project anything, but I did do a projection of what the town share may be, which is still a work in progress. I had to do it to share with the town hall because they were trying to do some of their borrowing for the remainder of the project, and we are currently about 2.8 million under what the PFA allowed for the maximum local share, which is going to be, we looked at it, which is actually $1.5 million almost under what the original 2014 projection number was. I think it was something 36 million, the original one for the town share. The PFA one is 38 million, and we're roughly somewhere in the 35 plus. So it is still running, and it is still tracking under the even projected back in 2014, which is in great shape. It will be changing roughly just because of how we're still having some change orders reviewed by the MSBA, because we did this whole batch of the BRRs to send them. So they'll be determining which ones are eligible, which ones are not. When I did my projection, I actually assume they're not eligible, so that number will be a little bit better. There's some other things like the GMP contingency that will be going back, which I didn't take into account. So it's still not set in stone, but I'm keeping track so we can update you when I know more. It's definitely not going to change drastically. I don't think so, since we're not planning on any change orders going forward.
No, right now, there's absolutely no projected change orders, period, none. Everything is being handled right through the project at this point. Yes, sir?
I didn't interrupt. So to hear you right, so you're projecting the town share is somewhere in the 35 million plus range? Between 35 and 36? Okay.
The estimation of the one that was presented to the town in 2014 was 36 and a half, 36 something.
I remember 36.
And the PFA is noting at 38 million maximum town share. We're tracking in the 35 and a half.
So the bottom line, this is money that we will not need to borrow to complete the project.
I just want to make sure I understood right.
So, good news. Meeting minutes from November the 9th, 2016. There's apparently an error in the minutes that we need to correct.
Yes, Section 5, the approval of previous committee minutes should be October 12th, not November 9th.
So I'll take a motion to approve with that change.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Monthly invoices. Go.
We have more or less standard invoices. Shawmut payment requisition for $298,425.22. Owner's project management, $52,500. For the architectural services, we have $82,656.50. For furnishings, we have $2,957.90. We do have a $450 charge for the aerial photography. It was the last flyover that we had approved in a batch when we did an initial counting. I think we did 5 flyovers, so this was the 5th one. And the very last invoice for UTS for $270. We're not going to have any more invoices, I don't think, for them.
Any questions?
Yeah, one.
Go.
So the balance to finish on sheet 6, 2.4 million.
You're on page 6?
6, yeah, page 6 of it. That includes some of the like GMP contingency that would be coming back? Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, any other questions? No? All right, then I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. MSBA closeout procedures. We kind of kept that on the list from last time. Is there anything that you needed to add this time?
No, I don't think so. We're sort of proceeding on filling in some documents, doing the mass chips work that needs to be done, the DCAM evaluation reviews, and basically trying to move forward with all the closeout paperwork. There's really nothing new at the moment, but we can update you on a monthly basis when we meet.
I know we've talked about how long it would take for the closeout to occur. At what point in the process does the town get to know, sort of with some precision, what the number is?
So it's after the 10 months commissioning is complete, which is, I believe it's in April, March, and all the CHIPS documents are submitted, and the last payment requisition for every trade and consultant involved is approved and paid. The MSBA, I believe, takes I think it's a 90-day review process, an audit process. That's when they begin, and then they called a board meeting to basically present what the final numbers are. During the 90 days, there's a lot of back and forth. We have to reconcile all of their budgets with our budgets, the propay. And after they review, and then we may, even after the board review, may have to go back and reconcile some more documents. And then at the end, they'll come up with a final reimbursement, basically, and the town share.
In your experience, once we hit that period where they go into the 90-day audit, we're pretty close to the number at that point, I assume.
Yes. So we will be able to tell you what the number is.
Okay.
But they will not.
Understood. Of course.
So it's about a year from now.
Well, yeah. Ed, are there any questions on that? Construction project update.
So tomorrow we are scheduled to get our inspection on the wheelchair lift at the fields, and that will complete construction permitting, open permit perspective. So at that point, we'll be finishing up some miscellaneous. We have some added, some of the items that have been added over the last few months, getting those in now that they're should be finishing up production. But for the most part,
One of those is the football field sign, correct?
yeah,
And that's scheduled for?
the 21st
The 20
is when they're going to put the protective screens up. Then they'll evaluate we'll see how frozen the field is
Right.
at that point.
The protective screens are screens that will go over the scoreboards. One of the things that we didn't take into account in the design was that apparently the baseball team uses that space at the beginning of their season, and so we need to protect the scoreboards.
So we'll be in and out over the next month to 2 months, finishing up those odds and ends, and making sure that we finish strong out here for you. So we will be back in the spring to coat the new basketball and tennis courts. The weather got too cold on us too quick, and they kind of put a moratorium, our contractor put a moratorium on that work. So we'll be back in the spring. We will be holding an open contract for that value into the spring. So we'll be back for that work.
And the lining of the brand new
Pickleball courts?
pickleball court.
What?
We're lining one of the tennis courts to also be able to be used as a pickleball court.
It's all the rage.
I'm old. I think, could I ask the superintendent to explain pickleball?
I think Mr. Londa has the answer. No?
I know there are several enthusiasts in the Lunenburg area and around the area. It's one of the fastest growing activities for a lot of our citizens. Florida, it's very popular, I understand. It's a modification of tennis that just shortens the court a bit more. It's kind of a combo between like paddle tennis and regular tennis, so less running involved and those kinds of things. So, but it was actually brought to our attention by one of our citizens, and we looked into the possibilities of it and found out that there was quite a following. And this facility has always been about being here for the community, and it just seemed like another nice opportunity to have this wonderful facility and its grounds serve more than just the student population. So,
And it's just a different set of lines.
it is.
That's great.
And
They can go right in.
It's a different racket on as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that.
And for an athletic endeavor, less running, that's got to be a big positive thing for our people.
Especially on older knees, you know.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If I may ask, so what does the punch list look like? I mean, is it a long list of small items?
At this point, we started out, remember the count? 500? How many? 5,000? And I would say we're probably sub 100 at this point.
Pete, I got Betsy watching the money.
So,
Pickleball candidate,
so we're in really good shape at this point. Having that one of the benefits to having this kind of phased construction where we build the new school and then tear down the old, it allows us to really tackle that punch list aggressively while we're actively here, and we still have all those subcontractors engaged. So that's how we were able to get it to where we are now, versus on a typical project, we hand you the keys and we're still working on the punch list a year later. Sometimes, yeah.
What percentage of that is site?
Site landscaping was probably the most minimal.
Oh, it wasn't?
See, yeah. Phase 2 site will probably be here in the spring resolving some of those issues.
Yeah.
Now that the snow's starting to inevitably pile up, we won't be able to see some of them. So, yeah, we're in, from a construction, manager's perspective, we're in great shape. This is how, we like to see jobs end, and typically end for us.
In fact, we were looking at retainage percentages today at the construction meeting. I think we're down to, what, 8? A dozen, maybe? Certainly under a dozen that we still have to... We're under a dozen that we hold any retainage on at this point in the project.
So Shawmut's retainage is based on the percentage of total retainage reduction, and after this month will be around 0.8% from 5, as discussed with the architect and the team based on the progress through the punch list. So call it 1% on 59 million. So it's
And that's based on...
190,000.
Right, exactly. And that's based on, okay, what's left on the punch list? What issues are we still experiencing? How much do we need to hold these people's feet to the
That's
fire?
great. Less than 100 on the punch list. That's incredible.
Down from 5,000.
Right.
Okay. Public comment. Comment from the committee. If there's no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good to record.
Michelle.